Welcome, bent riders around the world. My name is Gary Solomon, and you're watching the Laidback Bike Report. Hey, I'm coming to you live from the Laidback Bike Studios in Pickerington, Ohio, where we broadcast every month, producing a video on YouTube that can be watched right after this live broadcast is over at any time. So if you're not able to watch us live, please check out our YouTube channel. You know, it really helps us out when you subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can do that. If you look in the lower right-hand corner, you'll see a little red subscribe button. Please hit that when you have a chance and subscribe to our channel. You get to see all our videos there. And if you'd like to chip in a buck or two to help out on what we do here at Laidback Bike Report, if you look at the upper left-hand corner, you'll see, I think that's the right-hand corner, you'll see a little letter I that you can click on, getting more information from our website, and also you'll be able to donate $1 or $2 to our cause. So we'd appreciate that. We'd love to see if we can get you folks to contribute your questions and comments and make this an interactive show today. You can do that by checking. You can do that by, oh yeah, we have the new question and answer app today. So confused me, right? The question and answer app. We have a link in on Facebook and Google Plus. Where you can click on it and ask your questions. We'll be able to bring them up on the show, and we'll see if we can answer those for you today as well. If you want, let me tell you what that is. I'll verbally tell you as well. It's goo.gl. Google is goo.gl/slides/P436. So if you type that into your browser, it'll take you right to the questions, and you'll be able to ask us. Today's show is going to be broken down, as usual, into 4 sections. We're going to have the major section, the panel discussion today on our experience at Spezi. We were there a couple of weeks ago and had a wonderful experience, produced the video. So we're going to talk all about what we saw and have some pictures to show you coming up. I think you'll enjoy. We're going to have a report from Denny at the Laidback Sports Desk. We'll have an open question and answer period from you guys, and hopefully we'll see those questions and comments I talked about before. And then we'll head over to the Google Plus Recumbent Bike Rider community, and we'll talk about some business there and finish the show up with some final thoughts. So let me introduce my illustrious panel today. We have Carl Kidd. Carl is the moderator of the Bent Society of Southern Florida. That community is on Google+. He helps a lot in producing this webcast and handles all of our live comments. At least he did before. I'm not sure how that's working out today, but we always appreciate Carl being on hand. He's a tremendous help to us. Hi, Carl.
Hi, Gary. Oh, and I have to have a shout out. Hi, Mom.
Hello, Wanda. Glad you're watching today. And then we have our director. He comes to us from Salzgitter, Germany. His name is Lars Kahm. Lars produces and directs this webcast, does so many other things, and was a huge help at Spezi. Lars, welcome to the show.
Hi, folks.
Then we have a guy who is our Laidback Sports Desk anchor. He comes to us from Sayre, Pennsylvania. It's Denny Voorhees. Hello, Denny. Denny, I believe, once again, you have muted yourself.
How's this?
Yeah, that's better.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, I got a little quick with a button here.
I'm guessing you were saying hello to everybody.
I did. And
okay.
I did. Very good guess, Gary.
Don't mean to be putting words in your mouth, but
no.
Let's move along. Our last panelist, one of the most recognized faces in the recumbent community, the esteemed co-editor of Bent Rider. His name is Larry Varney. Hello, Larry.
Hi, Gary, and everyone else. Glad to be here again. Love the show, and we'll get lots of questions, I hope, today.
I hope so, too. And, Larry, I'm not liking what I'm hearing from your microphone right now. It's making those funny noises like it did at one time before. You might want to see if you can switch it out or turn it off and on or something.
Uh-oh. Is it still making a funny noise?
Yeah, it is. So, all right, let's talk about what we're going to do on the show today. So, as I mentioned earlier, a couple of weeks ago, we had the opportunity to take the Laidback Bike Report to Spezi in Germersheim, Germany. So, the genesis of that special report that we came up with started last fall when we took the Laidback Bike Report to the Recumbent CycleCon in Cincinnati and had a very successful show there, produced a video that was very well received. And I began thinking about how nice it would be to be able to go to the largest recumbent show in the world and maybe even take a little trip to Europe, which I had never done before, in the course of doing that as well. So I talked it over with my wife. And we began to formulate the idea of going to Spezi, which, as you all know, is at the end of April. So I wanted to recreate the type of video we did for Recumbent CycleCon and do that sort of thing, but do it on a little bit larger scale. Needed a few more people. I had Lars on hand because he is in Germany and he was going to be able to help us out. I had my wife, but we really needed a little bit more help, and this past February, as most of you know, we were able to entice Larry to come on the show and become a panelist, and we began to think that might be a great idea if Larry could come with us to Spezi and lend his expertise, especially on trikes, and his overall knowledge of bents. So we started to talk to Larry, and he was all for it, but didn't necessarily have the funds to get over there. And that was the beginning of the Send Larry Varney to Spezi GoFundMe campaign. Larry, are you back on now?
I hope so. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's much better.
Oh,
so
good.
I'm glad you're on right now. So if you take a couple minutes, I wanted to see if you might talk to everybody about how that transpired, the GoFundMe campaign, and how it worked out.
Yeah, the GoFundMe thing was almost, I guess, an accident, really, because I know you and I, via the Bent Rider message board, made the comments about my joining you and all that, and someone suggested a GoFundMe, and we went with it, not really expecting much. I'm still astounded that anybody sent money. I'm very grateful. I mean, there were lots of donations. I'm still dumbfounded. Now, of course, my wife said that she thought maybe people were donating money thinking it was a one-way trip, and they'll probably be disappointed and want their money back now. But we had lots of donations. It didn't cover all the expenses, but it covered the plane fare, most of the hotel and food stuff. So I had to pay a bit. But I'm still grateful to all the donations. I'm, like I said, I'm still astounded. So I'm glad I got the opportunity to go and help and see more of the European bit community.
Right. Okay. So, in fact, we raised over $1,800 on that GoFundMe campaign. And we did so starting in March, knowing that the show is in April, and so it was a lot of money in a very short period of time. We thank everyone so much who contributed to Larry's campaign and helped us out immensely. As those of you who have seen the video, you'll see how much Larry did help us out. So, and you probably don't even see all of how Larry helped us out. So. There was a lot of planning that went into covering the Spezi show. Not all of it happened over in Germany. A lot of it happened here. We spent months figuring out the logistics and all that kind of thing. And Kahl and Denny, who didn't go with us, were instrumental in all the planning sessions, giving us suggestions of how to handle audio, video, and various kinds of logistics. So I wanted to take this opportunity to thank you two guys. right now. And Wanda, you should be proud of your son for that as well. So you guys were really helpful. We appreciate that. So let's talk about the trip and what happened, and we'll see if we can discuss some issues and some pictures here that we have coming up. It started out by Larry and my wife and I flying to Toronto, and then from Toronto we flew to Frankfurt. That was the longer trip, obviously, and pretty much lost an entire day going in that direction. We got to Frankfurt. We left on Thursday. We got to Frankfurt, essentially, it was Friday morning. And right there to pick us up was Lars. He picked us up from the airport and headed to Germersheim on the Autobahn, which was in itself a new experience for me. Lars was driving. There's like 4 lanes, and Lars is driving in like the second or third lane from the right at a pretty good speed. I don't know, maybe 60, 70 miles an hour. And suddenly, like out of the clear blue, you'd see people flying by us on the left at speeds like unheard of, that you know the cops are coming right after them. But no, in Germany, you can do that. You can go as fast as you want. So that was one of the first shocks that I got, kind of culture shock, when we were driving with Lars to Germersheim and saw people just flying by us on the Autobahn.
Yeah,
so I guess, Lars, you're used to that kind of thing, but
yeah, well, basically for me it was kind of funny because for German circumstances, those guys weren't even go fast. You know. It was a little bit funny, but hey, that's the adventure of the Autobahn, isn't it?
it was an adventure. It was exciting. So, and I'm glad that wasn't you in the left lane going 150 miles an hour, or whatever it was. So there we were on the Autobahn heading to Germersheim. We got there in a couple hours, and Larry and my wife and I checked into the Germersheim Hof, the beautiful hotel that hosted us there. And Lars chose to camp out a couple miles away. He found a nice campsite, and there were a couple other people on that campsite as well. Lars, who were those guys?
Yeah, well, when we came there to pitch the tent, I noticed some tents already standing there, and I said, well, it's April. Those guys supposed to be band riders. What I didn't know at this point was these guys were the guys from Azub. And, well, that was some kind of party they did they did late night, but hey, it was great fun. And on the second day, they they get the guitar out and get some campfire singing, although they didn't have a campfire but a nice barbecue. But it was a nice time over there.
So apparently it wasn't just a business proposition for the Azub guys. It was an entire business affair, and also a campfire, a little hootenanny going on there. You probably don't even know what that is, but most of the Americans will understand what a hootenanny is, especially people. Do you know what that is?
No, I don't know, but I later learned that the guys from Azub do this every year, so that's kind of a traditional
thing. Okay. So, anyways, this was Friday. Then we decided to get a little peek at what was going on at the venue, at the show venue, even though the show didn't really start until Saturday. And I think that's where we're going to start the slideshows and take a look at some pictures here. So, Carl, if you can pop on the first slides, we'll take a look. And this was the opening slide. So this is some of the equipment that we used that you might have seen in the video. The video that we're talking about, by the way, hopefully many of you have already seen it. If you haven't, please go to our YouTube channel. Actually, just go to YouTube, type in the word Spezi, S-P-E-Z-I, and it should be the first thing that pops up. Will be our special report from Spezi. So, anyways, there's some of the equipment that we used. I brought over everything I needed pretty much, except for a tripod, which would have been pretty unwieldy for what we had to do. And so we counted on Lars to bring that. He did, and so we were in business. Next slide there, Carl. So this is a little square in the town of Germersheim, And we found that the town was prepared to host us, and they were already wearing the Laidback Bike Report hats. Some of the statues there are already adorned, so we were excited to see that. Next slide, Carl. Walking the streets of Germersheim, many people in the U.S. would not know what this is, but in Germany, this is the way the mail is delivered. Lars, can you tell us a little bit about this?
Well, basically in small towns and villages, the postmen, or in this case the postwomen, well, use the bike to haul along the mail. So
Yeah,
that's
so
quite usual in Germany.
it wasn't special for Spezi that this lady was riding the bike to deliver the mail. In
Not
fact,
at all.
it's a special bike, but it's something that's quite usual, and we saw quite a few of those as we traveled about after the show in Germany. So, all right, next one, Carl. And that's the logo for the Spezi 2016 show. Actually comes from a T-shirt that I bought at the show, which you can buy. They have plenty of merchandise, just like most other shows do. Next, Carl. So here's actually our first look at the venue. We hiked down over. It's from the hotel, probably about 10 minutes walk, and we happened to catch some people unloading. Who was that? Larry?
This was the ICE people. That's one of the co-directors of ICE, Chris, right there at the stairs, and they're unloading ICE trikes to put them on their display inside.
Next slide, Carl. I think we have a couple more. Yep.
Yep. They're doing the heavy lifting.
And the next one, Carl. So here they are moving some trikes in the day before. And go ahead. Next one, Carl. And yeah, you think they got there by driving that van through the channel?
It's possible, because I'd hate to.
Is that how they get there, Lars? I never really thought about that. How do you get there from England?
Well, to the mainland.
Yeah.
Well, either by ferry or through the tunnel.
Okay. Yeah. I was wondering about that.
But I was just thinking this few slides.
Mm-hmm.
Look like Santa Claus doing the shopping for the exceptionally nice kids for next Christmas.
Yeah.
With Larry hanging out in the corner there. Yeah.
I hope I'm on that list.
Yeah, especially for the
so
big
far.
fat there that's getting loaded. Next one, Carl, please. So yeah, how do you say that, Lars? Stadthalle?
Yeah, Stadthalle. Yeah,
Stadthalle.
it literally means city hall, but that's not what it really is. It's more like a venue for events and
like a convention center almost type of thing.
Yeah,
for a
something
small
like
town
this.
kind of
Yeah.
thing. Okay, next one, Carl. So we happened as we walked around a little bit. I think this was actually right before we got there. We were walking through there and we happened to bump into, I don't know, was that Joseph or his buddy?
That was Joseph. Yeah.
So a friend of the show, Joseph Jenny, who was on the Velomobiel show that we did in February. Very well-known personality, actually, in Germany. Rides that Velomobil you see there. What is that, Lars?
Oh, that's a DF.
A DF, yeah.
Yeah, Intercity Bikes, DF Velomobil.
He rides that everywhere. He commutes to work. I know many times. He lives in Bonn, I think. And he's when he's not working, he's out on it before work. I think he'll sometimes ride it a couple hours for lunch. Always posting pictures on Facebook. Very nice guy. Also, the gentleman who put together the Rome ride in 2011, the Roll Across America. Right? Larry was actually involved with that a little bit. Could you tell us a little bit about that, Larry?
Yeah, it was called Roll Over America. And I first heard about it when some people started posting out on Bent Rider Online, which you can get to by bentrideronline.com. And people saying, "Oh, you ought to do this." And I said, "Well, I'd like to, but I don't have a Velomobile." And lo and behold, one of the manufacturers kindly loaned me a Velomobile. So I joined them for the first section. I rode with them from Portland, Oregon to Missoula, Montana, and then I had to leave. But it was a great bunch of people. I've never seen so many Velomobiles all at one time, and I have a feeling no one else who happened to see them did either. But it was a lot of fun. They made it all the way from Portland, Oregon, all the way to Washington, D.C., and I don't think anybody got hurt or anything like that. And
in like 30 days, right, Larry?
Yeah, no, they were making really good mileage. I mean, considering we crossed over the Rockies to get to Missoula, but they were averaging, I don't know, over 80 miles a day at least. So
we talked a little bit about that on that Velomobile show, and so we don't need to go into too much detail. But yeah, so you can look at Roll Over America. Right? You can Google that, and you can find out more information. It was quite a ride, and Joseph continues to set up Velomobile rallies. In fact, I think Lars has got one set up for next year that he's going. Joseph set up one that Lars will be attending next year. Is that right, Lars?
Well, yeah. To make the information complete, Joseph also did the Great Baltic Sea Ride in, I think it was 2014, which went all around the Baltic Sea. It wasn't that long. It was, I think, don't take me to it, but I think it was 3 weeks and 3,000 kilometers or something like that. And well, hopefully there will be something next year, which I will attend if it happens.
All right. Well, I tell you, Joseph is nothing if not ambitious. So I expect that's probably going to happen. So, all right, let's cut over back to the pictures. I think Carl's got the next one queued up for us. So there's a better shot of the entire venue, the entrance, and the hall number 1, as you can see there. Okay, next one. And there we were, preparing for the work at hand, the interviews and the videos and the pictures that we're going to show you here today. So, next picture. So this was the vestibule, the entranceway where people signed up and got their tickets, and where we actually stashed some of our stuff. They had a little press desk over to the side, and were very kind to us. They treated us like rock stars, actually, once they saw us in our hats and our uniforms and saw that we had the equipment there to cover the show. They were very nice to us.
Well, they figured it was one of ZZ Top in the roadies.
Right. Once they saw Larry, it was all over for them. There's people doing their entrance applications and such. Next. So now people started showing up outside. Larry, you want to talk a little bit about some of the stuff we saw outside early in the show?
A strange assortment of bicycles. I mean, there were, what looked to be semi-normal two-wheelers, lots of folding two-wheelers, and then frequently people would roll up on Velomobiles, such as we see the Lytra there. There are several of them, but it was just lots of people showing up on various kinds of bicycles, and everybody was in like a really good, happy mood because Spezi seems to be like not only a place where you can learn things, but a ongoing party for all types of bicycle fanatics.
No doubt about it. A party like no other that you will see. So I think the next few slides you're going to see, these are not commercial bikes that people brought to the show, but people drove or rode these bikes to the show, or some brought them to sell, I think. So there's a well-covered trike of some kind. What you guys know what that is, Lars? You know what that is?
That's I think you can read. It's a Cabrio Velo. It's a Delta Trike Velomobile.
Okay. Next, Lars, or next, Carl. That's not a commercial product, I don't believe.
No, definitely not.
That's got some wood and some aluminum. I don't know. Yeah. So there's the two DFs, Joseph's, and I know he had a friend that he rode with. Actually, we don't have, I don't think, a picture of it in here, but the Friday night there was a get-together for dinner at, was it the Raskeller? Is that what it was called, Lars, I think, on the Rhine there? There was a restaurant that's right
to the Rhine.
Okay.
Right,
It was
right next to the Rhine. It's the old brickwork.
the old
The
brickwork.
alte
Okay.
Ziegelei. Yeah.
And it was it was on a deck, and you could see the Rhine and the barges going by, and all the bikes pulled up. So many people that were going to Spezi were there, and there were 15 or 20 Velomobiles lined up. I do have some pictures of it, I think, somewhere I'll post. So, okay. And now this was a gentleman that Joseph actually told us to interview if we could. We never had the opportunity. His name is Carl George. I have it on the slide. I can't even read it here. Do you know who that is, Lars? He's the.
Yeah, that's Carl Georg Rasmussen.
Okay. And can you tell us a little about him? Do you
Well,
know?
I don't know him personally, but he's the inventor of the Lytra, and Lytra is an abbreviation for what means light transport. So,
And he
that's
came up with some of the concepts, and it's been quite a while. I mean, like in the 70s or so. Is that about right?
yeah, I think early 80s, but I'm not quite sure about that. But he invented what we see here in the picture, which is basically a trike as a base and a fairing over that. So he's quite well known in the Velomobil world for being one of the
Pioneers.
Yeah, one of the pioneers to in the Velomobil world, so to say.
All right. The next one, Carl. And these are just some shots. This is actually still, I think, from the floor, but I don't even know that we've actually opened yet. Next one, Carl. Yeah, I guess obviously we have opened, but there's some general shots. Here's HP Velotechnik. We'll have some more specific ones here later. There's a gentleman who evidently spent so much time at Spezi he forgot to eat, so he is apparently thinned out quite a bit. What do you got next, Carl? And a little closer shot of the HP Velotechnik suspension. And okay, so Velomo was there. We got to talk to them and saw some interesting things, notably a very light trike. Next one, Carl, I think maybe. Yeah, so here it is, a 9-kilogram trike. What does that say, Lars?
Yeah. That says 9 kilograms, the lightest and fastest trike in the world.
Okay, so there's a claim for you. Go ahead,
Yeah.
next, Carl. And there it is, kind of suspended by wire. I'll let Larry. You had a chance to look at this. You want to talk about this a little bit?
Yes, any method for making things lighter and aerodynamic and so on, it's right there on that trike. So I think they're really onto something, because there's some real what we call weight weenies out there who that's what they strive for, something really light. And if there's another way of making something lighter, I think they'll probably put it on next year. But right now, that's the in any kind of a race to have the lightest trike, they're ahead right now.
Next one, Carl.
What I think. Let me just
yeah, we're still on it. Go ahead.
Talk about this trike. The special thing about this trike, at least in my opinion, is that when you look to all those very light trikes, they all have one thing in common. They're most likely being built from carbon fiber. But this trike is built, or the frame of this trike is built from chrome vanadium steel. So that makes it a little bit different than all the other super lightweight trikes.
I assume that ends up being more expensive to do than carbon fiber would be. I mean,
No, steel isn't that expensive.
No.
It just okay. I thought maybe that particular alloy that made it so light make it so. I wonder why not that many other people are using that. So this is their just a short video picture of their single bike that they have. Next one, Carl. And you can start to see the floor around the HP Velotechnik area, how busy it was. Next one, Carl. And yeah, this is we didn't really stop to talk to these people and really didn't know what we were looking at the time. When I went back to look, this is a Rooter trike, and it's actually we couldn't figure out why it had above the seat steering, because that's pretty unusual for a trike, and it turns out it's a rowing trike. I don't, Larry, did you probably already knew about that, but I didn't.
Well, I've heard of it, but yeah, it was a case of we just didn't get a chance to talk to the people about it, and so the best we could do is take a look at it. So it's something that would be interesting to try out.
There was another rowing recumbent that you'll see a picture of later on that we saw outside the next day, but those are only two of those that I really noticed. And we also spent a little time at Raiderwerk, right? Is that what this was called, Lars, I think? And so those of you that have seen the video will recognize this as where we had our opening scene. But Lars, could you talk a little bit about this? Was an unusual Velomobile, a little change of the regular Velomobile. Can you tell us a little about it, Lars?
Yeah, well, basically this one is special because it can accommodate two people. So basically, it's a what you would call a tandem, but it's not really a tandem because the second person doesn't pedal. So
there's a passenger there, but not really.
That's a passenger seat, or you can pull out the seat completely and put in
a case of beer, I believe, is what.
The owner said that the problem was that you can stuff in bottles of beer all over the Velomobil, but he wanted something where you can put a whole box of bottles into the trunk, if you will, of the Velomobil and be fine with it. So that was the original idea behind this Velomobil, which is called Milan 4.2, or basically, I think it's a play on word, and it's called Milan for two, so for two people.
Okay, let me, at this point, we've had a few questions sent in to us, one of which relates to the Milan, actually, and maybe, Lars, you can help us out again on this. It's from Alain D'Agostine. He says, are you able to test ride a Milan SL Velomobil and comment on the ride, the ease of entry, the drivetrain options, and include a video of the interior? Thanks and best regards. So that's a little bit more than we were able to handle on the show today, Alain, but maybe Lars can talk a little bit if he knows about the Milan.
Yeah, well, actually, I did test ride a Milan SL, not at Spezi, but as on a separate meeting in my area. Well, for me, as you have probably seen on the pictures before, I'm not the slimmest guy, and I had some problems with the width of the bike in the shoulders. So I sat there cramped in like this and couldn't breathe because I was scared to breathe in because I thought this whole thing would explode on me. You know, like I would push that apart. But the ride to get in and out is quite easy. I would even say easier than on the other Velomobiles. Like the Strada, which I own, or the Quest or the Mango. It is
and the
very
ride, Lars, how would you call the ride compared to your Strada, for instance?
It's a lot faster. You can you feel the Milan SL when you push the pedals. You feel it's way lighter than the Strada or the Quest or the Mango. Mm-hmm. I would compare it to the DF weight-wise, so it's very light and it rides very well. So when you are on good tarmac and you can just pedal it and it will just take off. It's a great ride, really, when you fit in. There's also to say the Milan not only comes in the SL version, but also in the GT, which is a little bit bigger and wider and fits people like me. So.
Okay. And we're not going to show a video of the interior because we don't have one, but is there anything on the interior of that bike that is extraordinarily different than what any of the other Velos have?
No.
Okay.
Basically it's a little narrower, but
Okay.
the basics are the same.
Okay, let's go on back to the slides, if we could, Lars, and see what Carl's got there for us. Okay, let's go on to the next one, please, Carl. Okay, we came upon a booth called Anthrotech. It's a manufacturer, a German manufacturer who actually only sells in Germany, but had some interesting bikes for sale. Next slide, please, Carl. And one of the things that we saw at the Anthrotech booth that we continued to see throughout the show and seemed to be almost a theme was a power assist bikes. There were bikes with power assist, and everyone was talking about bikes without power assist that could have power assist put on. So I think this bears a bit of discussion because people are wanting to know about it, about the power assist, the differences between the power assist in Europe and the U.S., for instance, and let's talk a little bit about who uses power assist, why you need it, and that sort of thing. So,
yeah, and one of the I'm jumping in here on this because it's kind of interesting. And with the European model, it's I think a maximum like 250 watts. It has to be pedaled to make it work, which I kind of like. I like that idea that you're at least getting something out of it. It's not a throttle situation. Plus, they appear to be quite a bit lighter because you don't have all that big motor there. For one thing, you don't have a 500-watt motor. You're trying to haul a lot of batteries around. Although batteries now, the technology is getting much better, and they're getting lighter. You know, but a lead-acid battery to run a 500-watt motor is like 30 pounds. It's a lot. So you're almost forced with what we have in this country on that type of throttle type motor. You're almost forced to be pedaling or forced to be using the motor because you added so much weight to the bike. But I'm interested in it. It looks smaller. It looks like it fits on. It'll still give you help when you need it, and also it looks to be that from looking at the slides that there's stock models that adapt to quite a few different things there. So
yeah, I think that's pretty evident there. Larry, can you talk? I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's fine.
I was going to ask Larry about who needs power assist. Why do people choose to add power assist to their trikes or bikes?
Well, you'll always have the people who have some sort of physical problem who need the help, who want to go riding with their friends, but they think, well, I can't climb that hill, that's too steep, or something like that. So that's going to help them in that regards. But I've also talked to other people who look at it from a more, I don't know, a situation where it's not a physical problem, but they commute and they stop at stop signs and stoplights and things like that, and just physically pedaling up to speed and getting across an intersection. They don't want to delay traffic or anything, but they can't really crank it out that fast. So an electric assist in that case, it gets them up to speed much more quickly, and then they can continue pedaling. So they're not holding back traffic. The motorists behind them are going to appreciate it more, and it makes them feel more comfortable that they're not having cars, like backed up behind them trying to, like get across the intersection before the light turns again. So you have people that for, what I'd call almost like utilitarian motivation, and then you have the people with the physical problems. So those are, by and large, the two different camps, I guess, for why do you want to get an electric assist.
Yeah, and it seems to be getting more popular from everything that I can see. So, all right, let's go back to the slides if we could, and Carl, can we hit the next one, please? So, yep, there I am trying to figure out what a power assist is. Clearly, I have no understanding of it. Let's go to the next slide, please. And there is our buddy Lars, and that's what he spent a lot of time doing. That and trying to keep me from yanking that mic wire and knocking over the camera. So did a great job on the video. Lars, next one, please. And now the HP Velotechnik. I think we spent a little bit more time there with these slides. Go ahead, next one, please, Carl. And oh yeah, so there's one of the first slides of Carl and of Lars and myself working out the cable connections and all that stuff. Next one. And this is actually an interview that Larry did. So Larry, you want to talk a little bit about this trike?
Yes, it's becoming one of the more popular ones, the Scorpion. For people who want something that's, they're the weight weenies who want everything light, and they don't want heavy-duty stuff, and the last thing they want to put on a trike are fenders. But in the case of this, you have the people, they see the benefit of having fenders. It keeps them less muddy and stuff because they're out there riding, in bad weather and so on. So this trike is built for the person who wants something that really works. They're not as worried about how much is it going to weigh. You can see you got the fenders there. You got those pads right behind the grips. That's for resting your arms on. So this is for people that are going to be biking or triking for a long time. This trike also has suspension in the rear. You can't see it in that picture, but it's a good long-distance, heavy-duty trike. You can load it up with a bunch of baggage and stuff and cross the country with it. And it's getting more and more popular over here in the United States, and it's already a great brand over in Europe. So you're going to see more and more of that brand.
Yeah, that's something I would say about HP Velotechnik.
Next slide, Carl. I think we have more of it. Go ahead, guys. Keep going.
In the first place is that they can take a lot of luggage and they can take a lot of abuse. As you know, I ride an HP street machine, and this is, I could easily load it up until I couldn't fit any more on it, and it will stay still haul me wherever I might go. So great bikes, really.
Yeah, a lot of the tours, the grand tours that you see are taken on recumbent bikes that you see posted all over the place seem to be that very bike. So there must be something to it. Next one, Carl.
So,
go ahead, Denny.
Yeah. So this is more like a trekking version of trikes now. They're kind of getting into that. Trekking was big about 10 years ago. There, I'm sure it is. Is it still quite a movement there, Lars? Trekking.
I wouldn't say so. The movement goes to as far as I can see, to something in between racing trikes and trekking trikes, if you want to call them like this. But these bikes are known for their heavy duty build, and they're great bikes simply. But
all right.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and look. Next slide here is where we went next after HP was the ice booth. Another one of the largest, probably the largest booth that was at the show, I'd say. Next one, please, Carl. And now you can start to see there. You can see a little bit of the ice booth and so many other things. You can see us. I never noticed us. There's Larry and myself walking around, but the crowd just filled up after an hour or so, and it got to be difficult to walk around. And we actually, one of the biggest problems we had in covering the show was crowd control. Who would have believed it? People, we'd set up. Lars would set up the camera, and Larry or myself would be getting ready to do an interview, and we'd start the camera, and people would just walk right in front of the shot in the middle of interviews, and some of them couldn't help it because there were so many people that they just got pushed into the shot. So we, whoever wasn't working the camera or the microphone, pretty much held the wires up and tried to keep people out of the shot. So and that's a good thing because it was such a successful show and there's so much excitement around how many people were there. So next one, please, Carl. Again, you can start to see what we're talking about there with the crowds. Next one. And one more. And there we got posed in the ice booth. I think we were waiting for Chris to come in for Larry to do an interview. Ice not only had the largest booth there, they had more than one. They had at least two, and they might even had three, but they had a booth outside as well. The weather while we were there, as you might have noticed from the video, and you will notice from some of the more pictures that we have here, was not ideal. It was chilly in the low 40s Fahrenheit, fairly windy, and especially Saturday on the first day, a fair amount of rain on and off. So Chris came in from outside, looked like he just walked in from Siberia. It was his nose was all red and everything. I thought he was sick. And he said, "No, I just been outside for 10 minutes." And then Larry took up the interview. Next slide, please. I think maybe
It was perfect Velomobile weather this weekend.
Yeah. That's a good point. That is a very good point. Next one, please, Carl. So then we moved on to the Azub booth, which is actually in Hall 2. There were 3 halls and the outside vendors. Yeah. And Azub was showing their tie fly, the new tie fly trike, which actually won't be out, I guess, for a few more weeks. People I know are anxious to see more of that. Video, we had quite a bit of information. We had Hans Agala, who talked to us about the trike and its innovations. Larry, can you speak a little bit to that, about that tie fly?
Well, it has a sort of a unique front suspension. We've all seen, coil type suspension, everything. This, we'll see some more pictures coming up with more close-ups of the front suspension, but it's almost like a flat plate with some holes in it that flexes in different directions, and that's what forms the suspension. So it's lighter. It seems to work really good. I didn't get a chance really to try it out, but maybe that time will come. But it seemed, like you say, very popular. A lot of people are almost like standing in line to get their chance to get one of those and ride them.
So that can be your standing request right there for Azub to send you.
Is
that what you're saying?
If he's listening to this show, I want one to review. So
there you go. It's official. I don't think we actually have too many more shots of that trike on this slideshow, but we had lots of them in the video, so they can take a look at that there. Okay, back to the slides, please, and next one, please, Carl. And next we headed over to a very unusual and creative small booth and a company called Wolf and Wolf. How about that's a little bit more like what they say there. And this was a company that started with a guy who wanted to create his own recumbent bike to do his tour that I think went from Germany to Switzerland, if I'm not mistaken, and he wanted to go faster, and he created this this bike. And his father was a teacher in a school system, and they ended up making it a school project where the kids actually built their own bikes along this design. And when they were done, they had a recumbent bike to ride. Can we see the next slide? Yeah. So there's the frame. I know that Brian Ball commented that he was kind of envious of this bike and would like to have a look at it and maybe ride it. Something that he had been a design that he said that he had in his mind a number of years back. So kind of an interesting design. And the claim by the gentleman who first created the design was that it's very fast and got him on his trek like twice as fast as he made it with his previous bike. So next one, please. And the booth you could try it out on these rollers. This gentleman took a couple pedals and kept falling over, or almost falling over. So it was a little dangerous, but there they were.
I think it's because of the rolls, because as fate wants it, I know this gentleman personally, and I know he rides a cat bike Musashi, and that is well, almost the same geometry, and stuff.
Same kind of configuration.
He knows how to ride those bikes, and I think it's because of the rollers.
Well, let's blame the rollers then. I'm going to blame the rollers, absolutely. All right, next one, please, Carl. Wow, there's an unusual bike. I don't know really what to say about it. Someone rode this there. Looks like a homemade deal. It's back-to-back tandem, and in case that's not enough complication, they're pulling a trailer. So
But the
really
nice thing is you get to see where the trailer is, you know.
You do, and if it unhooks, you see it going. So that's an unusual looking thing. Next one, please. And speaking of unusual looking things, that was a wooden boat-like recumbent. When guy was giving rides out, I think they sell those too. Although I didn't see a booth with those in.
I don't think so.
You think that was just a homemade deal?
Yeah, it's a homemade thing. I think.
But people loved it when they were riding in it, and the way it was raining, it could have come in handy if it did float. So they
it will float. I'm sure it's made of wood. It will float.
It will float if necessary. All right, next one, Carl. All right, so Rare Trike. I did interview this gentleman. This is a prototype, and it's a tilting trike, and very complicated mechanism that seemed to work well. He was there to see if he could find other people that would be able to work with him in maybe bringing this or some related design to market at some point. But he was kind of showing off what he had come up with. And this kind of brings me to the next discussion I want to have, fellas. A couple of things. First, trikes in general. If we walk into a show, whether it's the Recumbent CycleCon or the Spezi show that we were at, it's quite clear that the bikes being sold today are mostly trikes by a large margin. And not the case maybe 5 years ago, certainly not the case 10 years ago. And so I thought maybe, Larry, if we could talk to you and maybe Denny a little bit about the current state of affairs with trikes vis-a-vis the two-wheeled bikes today.
Well, like you say, there's lots more of them, and you can talk to dealers, and they agree too. It's almost become to the point where if you go to any kind of a gathering of recumbent riders, such as I was just back from the Smoky Mountain Recumbent Rally down in Townsend, Tennessee, and there was 90-some people signed up for it, a big crowd. And I'd say out of that number of people, there might have been, half a dozen, maybe 10 two-wheeled recumbents, and the rest were trikes. I mean, they're just people are finding out that recumbents in general are comfortable, of course, but you don't have the balance issues, whether it's a physical ailment problem or just the idea that if you're going up a steep hill and you're riding a two-wheeled recumbent, your feet might be several feet off the ground out in front of you, making you nervous. But on a trike, you don't have that problem. You're not going to fall over, even if you're going like 1 mile an hour or something. So that's going to relieve a little bit of anxiety. It's still a lot of fun. It's almost like some sort of a virus. The more people that see people riding a trike and get a chance to try them out, they're going to want to do it.
Well, let's delve into this disease a little further, Larry. I was wondering, or maybe even again, Denny, if you want to chime in.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
Do you think the large numbers, large percentages of trikes, is it converts from recumbent bikes, or do you think it's actually a whole new portion of people that are discovering recumbent bikes and trikes and going straight to the trikes because they're finding it attractive? Like according to what you just talked about, are they finding those specifications attractive to them? Who
Yes.
are these people?
Yes.
Who are these people?
I'll say yes, because on both of it, because you're seeing a lot of guys that are moving over from two-wheel recumbents, and because they are fun. Guys are getting older, and whenever you put somebody on a trike, they just have that huge trike grin. It's a go-kart. It's a pedal car from when you were 6 years old, or it's a tricycle. I mean, there's so many crossover features that you can say about them. They are a lot of fun, but also on the other part, and Larry's going to say the same thing, you are seeing people just coming directly to them. I mean, that's just it.
I think that's where the added numbers are probably coming from. I've got another question here that probably kind of pertains to this. It's from Arnold Foreman, and he asks, in Germany and Europe, what is the proportion of recumbent riders as compared to upright riders? What is the proportion of recumbent sales and like velomobiles? He wants to generally have a general idea. I guess maybe we're asking, is this the same story in Europe, Lars, as what Larry and Denny were just talking about, as is in the United States?
Are you talking about
two-wheeled versus
trikes?
Versus trikes?
Yeah, it's almost the same. It's almost the same. The trike sales go up and two-wheelers go down, and I think it's also because people don't have to care about learning to ride a recumbent. On a trike, you can just sit on and off you go. On a bike, you might first have to learn how to ride it. So I think that's a big issue, or a big factor in the trike sales going up.
And the other issue with this particular slide and rare bike in particular has to do with the tilting trikes. This seems to be something that's relatively new and up and coming. I don't know if it's something that will become popular, but we had Jim and Marie Parker on last month, and they talked a little bit about their T-Trike, their tilting trike that they are prototyping, working on. I've seen Easy Racer has some video out now on a tilting trike they're looking at. You see these people at Spezi. Larry, do you know if this is something that's going to really come to market in any real manner, or do you think this is just some fantasy?
I think that will come to market because there's, like I mentioned, the term weight weenies. You also have the speed freaks, and if you have a tilting trike, you're going to be able to go faster through the corners and so on. So there are going to be people that want to have the fastest trike they can get. So that's what they're going to do. Now, whether or not it becomes like a really big portion of the market,
cost.
Yeah, it'll cost a lot. And,
cost.
Yeah, so it'll be a portion of the market, but I don't think it'll be like huge. But you won't see nothing but tilting trikes. You'll see a little bit.
I'll inject a little bit. The holy grail is the cost. It really is, because somebody will come up with a method of making it. If they can come up with a method of making it cheaper and reliable, it'll be a new innovation. It'll be a really a driving innovation,
right?
But it's a ways off. I don't know. Yeah. It's mechanics. How difficult can it be? But it is.
Yeah. Well, whoever really does their level best, I'm sure will bring the product to market. So let's move on to the next slide.
Oops, Carl, I was muted. May I just cut in here?
Yeah, of course. Sure.
I think. I think. Where was the question? The guy who asked about the percentage of. Here, Arnold.
Oh, yeah, in the different countries.
Yeah, he asked what the proportion of recumbent riders as compared to the uprights. I think that should be the same as in the US. I would say less than 1%. So that was the part of the question I didn't answer. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's no problem. Thanks for chiming in with that. Okay, let's go back to the slides, please. And thank you, Carl. So we then moved outdoors. I think that's where this is going to take us, to a company called Katanga, which is another velomobile maker, makes beautiful velomobiles. Next slide, please, Carl. I think we'll take a look at the WOW, W-A-W, and it looks like a big smile on its face there, doesn't it? This guy's very interesting. He's on the video. I would hope you take a chance to listen to what he has to say about it. He talks about the entire market of velomobiles. This is something we're all interested in. They're beautiful. We talk about it all the time. But in fact, as opposed to the trikes we talk about, which is at least a substantial market, we may not know all the numbers. Velomobiles are very exciting, but we're talking numbers less than 100, maybe 50 or 60 velomobiles, I believe, that are manufactured every year. So these are expensive machines that people just love, but they are not in any way a mass market type of product. Would you all agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
quite
Yeah,
expensive.
absolutely.
Okay, let's go to the next slide and move along here. And another Velomobil from Liba, the Extreme. Anything you'd want to say about that, Lars?
Well, they are manufactured just 60 kilometers from where I live. The guy who builds them unfortunately can't speak English, so we couldn't interview him. Although I would have loved to hear a few words about the new record Velomobil, which is smaller and faster than the Laidback Extreme we see in the picture.
What's the name of that? What's the name of that machine?
Laidback. Yeah,
Oh.
the new one is called a Laidback Record.
Record, like R-E-C-O-R-D?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I know we try to get them on the show, but that doesn't always work out. Okay, let's move along to the next slide, please, Carl. So this is the discussion we probably don't have time for on the show today, but let me just briefly mention that Lars brought this to our attention. It's a company called Jobrad, and in Germany they have a program where the government subsidizes the purchase of, starting out subsidizing the purchase of vehicles, cars and such, and then moved on to actually subsidizing the purchase of human-powered vehicles in terms of bikes, trikes, velos, and that sort of thing. So it's kind of an interesting program. We're kind of running out of time, so we don't have time to talk about it, but you might want to check them out, especially if you're in Europe, and if you're in America. It's an interesting program. We have nothing like that here that I'm aware of, so just to kind of contrast. So next one, please, Carl. Not a recumbent, but this guy rode this crazy bike around. You steer it behind your back. Looked like a faceplant machine to me. So I don't know. It was kind of cool to watch. But and I think we have a shot of it in the video too. Next one, please. And Trident Trikes, an American manufacturer who also actually manufactures out of China, but he's an American company. Tom Floor is his name. We interviewed him, and Rudy, his European representative. Next one, please, Carl. And they had a couple of trikes. That's a folder that folds down into a airline-sized, I guess, case. I didn't see the case, but it folds really small. And next one, please, Carl. And then on to wind cheetah. I think this is something that Larry's going to talk about. Next one, please. I think we have a few slides on wind cheetah. Okay, go ahead, Larry. Talk a little bit about your interaction with Carl, who I initially called Kurt. Carl from wind cheetah.
Yeah, I got to talk to him several times, mainly because the wind cheetah has been around quite a while. They had some business issues a while back and all that, but I'm glad to see them there again. But it's almost, well, I think someone used the term Holy Grail earlier. People who want a fast, state-of-the-art trike always think of wind cheetahs. Wind cheetahs, they use a lot of lightweight material, carbon fiber. They have a rather unique steering system where you have like a boom that comes up in the middle there. And
next slide, please, Carl. I think, or Lars, could you show it? Maybe one more.
You can see it right there.
I think the next one that will even show it better. There you go. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, and you've got the gear shifter, the brake, everything right there on that one boom. So you could do all the steering and stuff with one hand, or you can use both hands too. But rather than, it doesn't steer by going back and forth, it's a twisting motion of your hand that works. It's lightweight, as I said, very fast. You know, if Carl is listening to this, I think you really need to send me one for a long-term review, because I really want one. But no, for the review purposes, etc. Very nice.
Larry,
I did get a chance.
You can only pander once per show. I think you've exceeded your limit, but I love it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I did get a chance to ride that over some rough bricks and everything outside when it wasn't raining, and I was really surprised at how smooth it rode. It handled very nicely. All the things that you may have heard about the wind cheetah, I think are true. This is really a good trike.
Very nice. And you can see Larry on that windsheet also at the end of the Spezi video. So
I tried to ride away with it, but they wouldn't let me out of their side. So
yeah, that's how they got to be where they are. Next slide, please,
Yeah.
Carl. And this is the NASCA booth. This is a manufacturer from Holland. Next one, please. I will say that there's more in the video on this. They brought uniquely almost a couple of bikes instead of trikes there. They had a tandem that we talked about, very nice tandem, and a single as well. Speaking of singles, here is a single lady who would pedal this bike, and if you watch the video, you'll see that they will make all kinds of fruit drinks with the blender there by pedaling the bike. It was quite unique. We were looking into a recumbent version of this. Next one, please. We can all drink. We can drink the blended juices during the show. It'll probably be appropriate. Outdoor venue. You can see there's top of Larry's head looking at some of the things. You can see the dark clouds. And that's the clown off in the background. You can see him in action. He was hilarious, did some amazing things. Next one, please. Trying to sort things out. This is what we spend a lot of time doing. Next one, please. And another, I think, home-built, side-by-side, or sociable tandem, I guess you'd say. Next one. Ice cream. Germans love ice cream. I don't know how else to tell you this. It doesn't matter how cold it gets. They will sit outdoors in a cafe, eat ice cream with a blanket around them, and still eat ice cream in the afternoon. They love their ice cream there. Next one, please. All right. I don't know what to say about that. Next one.
That was the bamboo.
Yep.
That was a bamboo bike.
Bamboo.
Yeah.
Yep, it is a bamboo framed bike there. That's right. Next one, please. And this is the outdoor HB Velotechnik booth. Next one. And this is coming into the outdoor facility. You had to check your credentials carefully. Next one. There's the clown, and us taking some video of him.
Yeah, and three others in the back.
Yeah, I was just going to say clowns and clowns.
And this guy we saw the next day doing something that I don't think would ever be pulled off in the U.S. We didn't get any video of it this time. He was on a unicycle with a child on his shoulders, and then he had somebody throwing him bowling pins that he was juggling at the same time on the unicycle with a small child on his shoulders. I was afraid to take video of it because I figured it would be called into court. I didn't know. Next, please. And the Sun Rider, what's the name of that? Elite? How do you say that, Lars? Do you know?
I don't know. It's a Dutch
don't know
name,
much about these guys.
but I think it's pronounced something like a light or something.
Light. Yeah, okay. Next one, please.
A licht, something like this, with a harsh.
And there's a little tag along there. Very nice looking. Next. And we visited the cruise bike. They had a small booth in the outdoor area with the bikes tied up to that fence there. Next one, please. And they had their European cruise bike. Maria and Jim weren't there, but they have a European representative, I think, from France, I believe, and he showed us. He demoed it. I thought I was going to get a test ride. Didn't work out that way. He demoed the bike. Next one, please. And there he is. You could see his foot is just slipping off what was the pedal. The reason it's not the pedal anymore is if you look on the ground, you will see the pedal sitting there. So he put his foot up on the pedal to start, and boom, the pedal fell to the ground, shocking all of us. But
that is not a feature. That is not a feature.
Yeah, I don't think that is part of the feature. So next, please.
I was laughing my bottom off.
Yes, I know. Yeah, we had to get Lars off the ground. He was rolling all over it so much. The cab bike from Pima. We did interview these people. I think this is a Czech company, I believe. The next one, please.
Polish
company. I'm sorry. And a number of people were riding that very nice-looking Velo bike. Next one. And there you see it again. Next one. The Bike Hawk is what they call that. And I'm not sure if this is power assisted. We didn't talk. It just was sitting out there. But you can see all of the solar panels to power something there. So
apparently you have to drive someplace to catch the sun there, right?
You certainly were. Yeah, there was not much power to be had that day, I can tell you that. Next one, please. And the Quattro Velo, which I did get to ride. It was not this unit. There's another one you'll see. I think you'll see in the slideshow here. But a beautiful machine, very stable, just really fun to ride, and large. You can put a second person behind it as well. Although I think more storage. Again, not a second rider, peddler, but another. Is that right, Lars? Am I getting that right?
Yeah, you can put a second person, although only a child.
Yeah, a smaller person
in the back. Yeah, so an adult would not fit in there, I guess.
Yeah, that didn't stop me in that Milan apparently. So next one, please. And there's a gentleman apparently just stole a number of tires and is leaving the premises quickly. Next, please. And the big fat from ICE, I think, that someone's checking out. Next, please. And Flavo Bike. We stopped and talked to them for a while. Next one, please. The thing about Flavo Bikes is that they have enclosed drivetrains. So they are kept clean and they last much longer, is the claim, of course. Of course, access to them when you do need to maintain them is a bit of a problem, but he talked about that when in the interview on the video. So this enclosed drive chain is both on their bike and on their Velomobil, the Orca, which has an enclosed drive train as well. Next. And there's the representative, very nice gentleman. Next. And you can get a little more close-up look of that enclosed drivetrain. Next. Cycles JV-Fenioux, a French company that makes velomobiles, very beautiful velomobiles. Next one, please. Including the Le Mans, and they're actually made in Le Mans, France. This is just a spectacular looking machine. A lot of people jumping on that, into it, and riding, I should say. Next one, please. They're Mulsanne as well, beautifully designed. As you can see, I probably saw that riding around about more than any other velomobile out there. That black Mulsanne was just everywhere. Next. And I think that's another one, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. Next one. And there's a look. We're not giving Alain a look inside the Milan SL, but we're going to give you a look inside the Mulsanne. The next one, please. And there's David, who actually is the representative there for the company. Next one, please. And the last look there. Next one. And look inside the Mulsanne with the sun on it. A rare shot. Next one, please. Yeah, starting to get a little blue sky there. Next one, please. And there's that rowing recumbent trike that we talked about. There's a little video of that, I think, that we included in the video. Next one. Not sure whose that is. Unusual looking seat there. You can see little bars coming on the side with some foam wrapped around it.
Kind of looks like something from the boardwalk. Yeah.
Yeah. Next one, please.
Actually something for a kid.
Or I think it was pretty small. I think you're right. So this is the Armadillo made by a company called Velo. It was designed in Sweden. It was manufactured by Flavo Bike that we talked about a little bit earlier. We saw this out there. The gentleman from Flavo Bike wanted us to meet the guy who was representing the company, who wasn't out there at the time. He said, "I'm going to call him. He'll be here in 10 minutes." So we said, "All right, we'll hang around." Next slide, please. So we were looking for a place to sit down. Larry quickly found a place to sit down, of course, inside the Armadillo. Next slide, please. He took that 10 minutes opportunity and made good use of it. He checked it all out. Next one, please. And he was pretty tired from walking around most of that day. So next one, please. So the guy never showed up, by the way. So we moved along, but we did get some good shots of Larry in there. So that's, I guess, the important thing. We went back to Hall 3, and we had I actually had a question that was emailed to me from a viewer, asked about a particular Schwalbe tire, and if we could ask the reps. So we did go over there, and Lars helped us out with the language. And next slide, please. Yeah, and it was the Pro 1, I think, is what the gentleman was asking about, and its availability, and there was some question. But it's out there, I guess, maybe not quite yet in Germany, and so question as to whether it's gotten to all the retailers yet, but it's apparently out there, and we did answer the gentleman's question. Next, please. And right across from the Schwalbe, Larry, is that your stomach growling? What is?
That's my dog.
Oh, okay. Velotop was right across the aisle from Schwalbe. Next slide, please. And interesting manufacturer of these tops. And Larry, I know, I know you told me that you did ride not this particular brand, but you did ride with one of these on a trike. Tell me that experience.
Well, there's a guy down in Tennessee that designs and makes them, well, for trikes, and I took a test ride on one just to see. Yes, I know. See how performed, you know, with wind and so on. And I imagine if you went really, really, really fast, that there would be buffeting and so on. But at the speeds I was going, which was in the mid to upper teens and everything, it was surprisingly stable. It didn't flop around or anything. It didn't try to change lanes on me or anything. And it's really nice if you're either in an area where there's a lot of sun and you don't want to get too much sun. You've got shade, so it really is kind of nice. And they've got some elaborate setups now with, you know, up along the top you can have a really full-length mirror or two little mirrors and stuff. You can put lights on them, all kinds of things. I mean, I think they're going to become more and more popular as people get out and ride their trikes more for enjoyment, or even just to stay out of the sun or the rain and so on. They were kind of nice. I was impressed.
Very practical, yeah. Okay, next slide, please. All right, just getting towards the end. This is we talked about Larry at the end of the video. This is a shot of Larry on that wind cheetah. Larry, how did that feel?
I was just thinking that I hope Kurt is watching this because, you know, I want to see that image again in the future. You know?
And in the wind cheetah catalog, perhaps, right?
Yes, something like that. No, that was when I first started riding the thing outside. You can see the surface there, and I even rode on rougher ground than that. And like I said, it was surprisingly smooth. I mean, we all have it in our heads, I think, that if something's going to be fast and high performance, that there's going to be sacrifices. It's going to ride rough. It's not going to be that comfortable. But in the case of this one, I keep using the word impressed. I was impressed and surprised. It was comfortable. It was fast. Very nice trike.
Carbon has some interesting, you know, features that it just seems to absorb stuff. My road bike is carbon, and it just makes it's an interesting material, and it's too bad it's too expensive. It's expensive, but it seems to be creeping down in price and getting more and more popular. But that's what it is.
Yep. And I also, for the first time, Larry just noticed what a fashion plate you are. You are the only one I've ever seen who actually matches the sole of his tennis shoes to the Laidback Bike Report hat that you're wearing.
I think that should be part of the uniform from now on.
Thank you, Larry. That's going above and below, I guess, instead of behind.
Yeah.
Next slide, please. Let's see, where are we, Carl? And so my wife and Larry and myself, we found ourselves at the train station a few miles from the venue, and it was raining, of course, and we lucked upon this pedal shuttle, this Velo shuttle that they had running throughout the show. He happened to pick us up and take us back, which really helped us out, like I said, because it was raining. Next one, Carl. And thank you. And the next one, there's just us in the shuttle. Next one, I think there's another one. There we are, staying sort of dry. Next one. And there it is. You can see the rain. Next one. And yeah, winding things up. So even in town, everything was Spezi. It was such a big deal there in Germersheim that they had renamed their burgers to the Spezi burger. And we stopped into this little restaurant and had the Spezi burger. Of course, it was the appropriate thing to do. Next slide. There we go. And of course, I got to say, the beer was fantastic and cheaper than soft drinks. It's just amazing there. Yep. Next one, please. And there's Larry with a little glass of wine that was given to us actually when we were at the show by a little vendor who must have felt sorry for us. Looked like we need a little shoring up or something, or at least we all got him. I'm not going to just say that was Larry. Next one, please. I think that might be it. Yeah, I think that is it. So, okay, Carl, come on back. Thank you for doing all those slides. That was wonderful. Okay, well, we had some more issues to discuss. We are running long here as usual, so we're going to get to the sports report. Denny, are you about ready to go?
Yeah, I am.
Let's hear it.
Okay, first the report is Bessie's Creek. It's a 6/12 24-hour and 511-mile race held in Brookshire, Texas. The weekend is April 7th. The course is a 21.3-mile loop, and the weather conditions were pretty good for the weekend, with wind but mild temperatures. The 24-hour race in the recumbent division, Ben Tomlin rode 421 miles, just setting a new record for the event. Ben Tomlin is racing raw this year. Ram solo finisher Maria Parker, who is on the Laidback Bike Report the weekend before, broke several records on her cruise bike recumbent with 458 miles, the furthest anyone has ever ridden in the history of the 24-hour event, and this was 5-mile faster average than any man or woman in any type of bike in this event. Big congratulations to Maria. Bob Page rode the 24-hour race on a trike and covered 327 miles, a pretty good feat for 70 years old. And in the 12-hour race, the overall winner was a recumbent ridden by Rich Putich, I hope I got that name right, at 235 miles, followed by Tim Ojejewski with 170 miles and Bob Price at 107 miles. Jim Parker dominated the 6-hour ride, the better half of, or not the better half, the other half of the Parker team, with a 6-hour new overall record of 139 miles in 6 hours. Congratulations, Jim. You guys both killed it out there. The lone trike in the 6-hour race, Steven Jackson's finished with 97 miles. In the 511-mile race, which is an interesting event where the fastest time to 511 miles on the 21.3-mile course wins. Alan Johnson did 43 hours and 32 minutes, just behind the HPV of Raymond Van Etten, 42 hours and 43 minutes. Both times were records for the recumbent division. Alan Johnson will be racing the Race Across the West in June. Calvin's challenge this year was marked by cold and breezy and rainy weather. As usual, Calvin's had weather this year. There were a number of recumbents in the 6 12-hour races. The overall winner of the day and ultimately the UMCA 12-hour challenge winner was Larry Osland with a hard-fought 250-mile effort. Recumbent age group winners were Ben Tomlin in the 30 to 34 age group, John Deeks in 40 to 44, Jeff Madden 45 to 49, and Kevin Gamble 50 to 54, Larry Osland in the 50 to 59 age group, Don Rose was number 1 at 60 to 64, and Dick Young in the 60 to 65 mile age group. There were 15 recumbents entered this year in the 12-hour race and 2 in the 6-hour event. As of this report, it is likely the last Calvin's Challenge after 26 years. I got my shirt on here right now. After 26 years, the owners, Larry and Christine Graham, who've owned it for about the last 7 years, are stepping away, and I, for one, will miss it. I've ridden it 6 times since 2010, and it's a well-run early season event. It's something motivational for early season training, and a bonus, there is always weather. Thanks to Larry and Christine for all the volunteers who made this event possible. It'll be hard to replace. That's it for their sports report this month. Remember to stay on the bike and keep moving forward. Back to you, Gary.
All right, Denny, great job. I just want to say that the last picture there, that was not Larry and Christine Graham. I think those were the winners that you talked about from Calvin's Challenge.
Yeah, that was Larry Osland and
right. Even though we actually showed that.
Yeah.
Just so as not to be confused. So great. Let's move on to the open question and answer period. Actually, I have two quick ones to get done. Larry, I'm glad you're back. Let me ask you real quickly. We have a question from Bill McBride. Back to HP Velo, didn't you have something unusual about the chain routing in the tube video or split frame or something? And yes, there was something about the new chain routing. Can you briefly, Larry, just tell us a little bit about what they're doing there?
Right. It was more of a direct routing, so they did away with having to have idlers and things to anytime you move the chain, around something, it's going to increase drag, wear on the chain, and so on, and affects performance. So they are now coming directly back to the back of the trike. So it's going to be a more efficient and longer-lasting setup. I think they're onto something.
Great. And then one last question here. Howard Yeomans, delighted to see you're spreading the news of Spezi. It's a great bike show and hopes more U.S. Ayers can come over to Europe next year. He wants to know about what new machines that we saw would be the most popular in the USA. I'm going to just jump in there quickly. I don't know. That's a big question, actually, to answer. I'm going to say the Windcheetah actually would probably be very popular here if it was more available. They really don't have any dealers here. It's got to be purchased pretty much online and shipped. It's kind of expensive because of all that and other factors. So I think that's a potential that could be a very popular one here. I hope that answers your question, Howard. Jerry Dominato, hello. Jerry told me a little bit earlier that Jerry and Elizabeth bought our previous tandem a number of years ago, and he has added e-assist to what he calls Mike the Bike. So that's kind of interesting. I'll have to get back and ride that. So hi Jerry, thanks for watching. And I think that is, yep, that's all the questions that we have. So let's go to the Google Plus Recumbent Bike Riders Community Business and finish up there. We're going to take a look at the winners of the month contest. First, the picture of the month. This is by Anthony Dyson from Longs Peak. His trike there for Longs Peak, Colorado. I'm sorry, and he calls it the Longs Peak, Colorado trike. The next winner is the video of the month. This is actually not one of our committee or one of our community members, I don't believe, but it's a great little you might want to take a look at. Sent in by Sonke Kahl, called the Old School Power Assist Velo. So we talked about power assist. There's something a little different that we hadn't thought of. And lastly, the discussion of the month winner this month, Dan Blumenfeld. His first hand cycle ride. Dan is a great friend of our community and of the show. He is about to open a recumbent bike shop in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So watch for that. It's going to be another RBR. So keep your eyes open for the new RBR in Pittsburgh coming up shortly. Okay, so we've hit, let's see, in the community we've hit the I think 832 actually is where we are in terms of members. So thank you for joining the community on Google+. If you have a chance and you're in the community, you haven't done so already, please put your little pin cushion in the mat by filling out the little form that you'll see in the upper right-hand corner of the community page. That's, I think, going to do it for us. Let me close by thanking all of the panelists. Let me start with Lars Kahm, did the directing and switching around today. Thank you, Lars. Great job.
You're very welcome.
Good job switching back to yourself. Right, good. Let's go to Larry Varney. Larry, thank you so much for all your contributions, and thanks for coming to Spezi with us. We had a great time with you, and we sure always appreciate your contributions and what you have to say on all recumbent ideas. Thanks, Larry.
Well, thank you, Gary, and I was more than happy to do it, and I really enjoyed it. Other than the weather wasn't good, but other than that, it was a great opportunity and experience. I loved it.
It was nice liquid sunshine.
Yeah. We
including sleet.
Whatever we could control, we controlled, but there are some things that are pretty much out of the question as far as that goes. And of course, we have Denny Voorhees, who helps us out with the sports report. Great job on the sports report, and chiming in on the rest of the discussion. Thanks a lot, Denny.
Yeah, thanks for having me again, Larry. Gary.
Thank you.
Larry, Gary, and all the other areas.
This is what happens when we don't have the lower thirds here.
Yeah.
And lastly, certainly not leastly, the man behind the scenes, behind the curtain, pulling all the little the ropes, making things happen. Carl Kidd. Carl, thank you so much for going behind the scenes and doing all that hard work. It looked great tonight. Thank you so much, Carl.
You're welcome, Gary, and I live in the world of the liquid sunshine.
Yes, I know you do. And your mother, Wanda, you should be very proud of him tonight. Very good. All right, let's close it up. Let me tell you about what's coming up. Our next Laidback Bike Report is going to be June 5th at 2 p.m. It's about 3 weeks. It is 3 weeks from today. We're going to have a gentleman named Shelley Mossy, who is the founder of the Urban Mobility Project in New York City. He's somebody that's an advocate for recumbent biking. He does cargo carrying. He's been a messenger. He's done a lot of things. Very interesting fella. Looking forward to talking to him. And let's see, I don't have this written down, but I think it's July 10th will be the show after that. And we're going to put together that Bents for the Health of It show that I've been working on for a while. We've got a couple of prominent physicians lined up who also happen to be bent riders and strong bent riders to talk about the health benefits that can be accrued from riding bents, bikes, trikes, and such. We're going to talk about people with disabilities who have been helped and people with other sorts of health problems who have overcome them by riding their bents. So we may have a couple of those people on as well, and I think we're looking for actually for a bent shop owner who does some of this work. There's a couple of them out there. If you are one of those who would like to appear on the show, please let me know. We'll see if we can get you on too. So a big ambitious show in a couple of months. We're going to try to put together something we hope you all really enjoy seeing, something that touches all of us, our health. So yeah, let's move on to, I wanted to thank, of course, Brian Ball at Bent Rider, who gives us a special promotional support by putting us on the website and helping us out in many other ways. So thank you, Brian. And again, if you'd like to support what we do here on the Laidback Bike Report, you can do so by clicking that little I in the upper right corner of your screen. You'll see a couple of cards pop up. You can click on those to send us some money or go to our website. You can learn more there. And again, if you're watching any of our videos, this one or any other ones, you'll see a little red subscribe button down there. Click that. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. That also helps us out. So, also we have a Facebook page, of course, the Laidback Bike Report Facebook page. Please like that. Check out our website, laidbackbikereport.com. You can see all our past shows there. You just go up to the top and hit past shows. You'll see everything that we've done in the past, and on the front page you'll see what we got coming up and what's current. Our mailing list can be signed up there. You'll get heads up on everything coming up on the show on the mailing list if you sign up there, and it'll be emailed to you directly. So again, www.laidbackbikereport.com. So until next webcast, from all of us at the Laidback Bike Report, so long, bent riders.